have Tim Omlu goes over a tenth of a second fast.
Good evening everybody and welcome to the Suzuka circuit in Japan. This is a Formula Trout League Challenger split in the Premier Series. This is the final round, round 12 of 12 here in season 10. I am Alex Cochran, joined by Case Wilhelms.
Good evening.
Right, good to be back here at Suzuka. Interestingly, as we've got a golf off the track there. Yeah, interestingly, this is the final round of the season, which is very unusual for us in Formula Trout. Usually Brazil, the last round, round 11, is the final round of the season. But this season we've had a swap, we've had a switch. We're now back in Suzuka, but this time it's at the end. Now, here in the Challenger split, the Drivers' Championship has already been decided. You're looking right at the champion here, Darian Shiklovan, currently on provisional pole with a 128.4, but still up for grabs, I believe, is the Teams Championship, although, unfortunately for Younger GP Junior, there's only one car on track today, and I'm not sure what the points difference is between those teams, but if it's more than 25, the championship would already be decided, basically. I'm not sure if you know, Case, but it's
yeah, I only just got my systems back up. So it's currently Griffin Gaming Red with 265 points, Younger GP Junior with 231, and the Golf Racer Club with 174.
Wow. Okay, that means that means unfortunately, as Shiklovan enters the pit lane, that means unfortunately then the championship is already decided for Griffin Red with only one Younger Junior car on track. That means that Griffin Red are basically already the champions, which is a bit of a letdown because we've had a fantastic championship battle all throughout the season, back and forth. Darian being so strong, obviously the champion, you know, had the better of Kamishov, the better of Griffiths, and Ivan, who didn't show up to many races, unfortunately. But it was a great back and forth. But yeah, with only one car on track, with Shiklovan's teammate Skamanis not here, that would mean that Griffin Red are the team's championships, the team's champions for season 10, and that would mean that next season Griffin Red will have a guaranteed seat in the Master Split. You know, very good news for them. Amishov and Griffiths and Ivan, depending on which drivers go up, or even if they maybe sign new drivers, it will be really great for them. And I'm sure Shiklovan, the champion, I've said that twice now, championship instead of champion. I'm sure he will be picking up a Master Split drive for sure because he's been so strong throughout this season. But anyway, forget about the championship then. Racing here at Suzuka. 9 minutes left in qualifying. Shiklovan is still on pole, 128.4. James K, interestingly, is in P2 at the moment. He's done around a second slower, and then Kamishov 1.1, Moreno 1.3, Stoyan 1.4, Leslie Peters 2.5, and then William Knowles is just a bit off that again with 2.5 seconds off currently. Unfortunately, we have quite a small grid today here at Suzuka, but shouldn't matter too much. We've got a very tight grid, a lot of drivers, very experienced here throughout the season. Have done lots of racing with each other, against each other. Ooh, as Darian gets right up close to the edge of the track there. We'll just ride on board with Darian throughout a lap then. Coming up into turn 1, the DRS is open, no brakes into the initial turn 1, and then turn 2, if you can call it turn 2, just ease on the throttle on the exits, and then into the S's, left, right, bit of a lift, downshift, back on the power, half on, half off, no brakes through here, again, just keep the car tight, then run it to the exit as you get to Dunlop, and then climb the hill, flat through here in qualifying, easy, press the corners. There's actually no Dunlop bridge there anymore, but as he comes into Degner 1, don't get too much on the curb. He'll struggle to get the car in for Degna 2, but manages okay. Big snap of oversteer, getting on the curb at the exit of Degna 2. But doesn't matter. On his way he goes into the hairpin. Ooh, locks up the inside tyre there. Shouldn't cost him too much, as the exit is what matters there. As he goes around this easy flat corner in a Formula 1 car. In a Formula Alpha car we are here. Kamishov sets provisional pole. But can Shklovin respond? Coming into Spoon now. Left, similar to turn 1. You want to get in the entry as fast as possible and then just get the exit as good as you can onto this final back straight. Climbing the hill over the bridge onto the... Crossing over where the exit of Degna 2 is, where he lost the car through the 130R. Easy flat nowadays. Car bouncing up and down over the bumps. Into the Casio triangle. Locks the rears. Manages to hold on, but it's not going to be the best lap in the world. I imagine he will pull into the pits. Yeah, so Darian not happy with that lap. Lost the car a couple of times throughout the lap. As we saw, it wasn't the cleanest and comes into the pit lane. But meanwhile, Kamishov in P1. Now, provisional pole for the Griffin Red driver. He's been, you know, some of the most direct competition for Shklovin throughout the season, and not changed here at Suzuka. First race of the season, I think they were going toe-to-toe, and then here at the last race of the season, toe-to-toe again. Fortunately, it's just for the glory of winning the race now. No championships are up for grabs. Both have already been decided. But yeah, they should put on a good show for us today. Stoyan, meanwhile, in P3 improves. Cloven is out on track again on an out lap. See if he can a cleaner go at a lap. Try to without trying to be a bit mean here. Try not to make as many mistakes and get that lap time in, because I'm sure he is a good match for. He'll be able to match Kamishov's lap time there for sure. But will he manage as the car goes off in the background there? Look like Stoyan, yeah. We said, was he lose the car tires? Dirty tires are hot. Don't spin the rears up again. Yeah, we what I said on the lap with Darian, you don't want to run too far onto the exit curb at the Degna 1, which it looked like Cyprian did. Ran too much onto the exit curb, kind of beached the car, and then you just end up on the grass, on the gravel on the exit, and you just have to hold on and hope that you don't fly into the wall. I think in real Formula 1, a few drivers did that, if I remember. I think Vettel did that in 2018, I want to say. I think he was able to continue, but I remember one of the Ferraris went off at Degna 1, ended up in the wall, but managed to continue in that instance. Now here in Formula Trout, obviously, in the world of sim racing, you're unlikely to be out of the race due to damage directly. Though I managed it last race at Brazil, breaking my engine, but yeah, the driver should be able to continue on complete a race, even with a few scrapes with the barriers. But meanwhile, Kamishov here on a push lap himself. Oven behind is also on a push lap. We go on board with Shklovin as he comes through Dunlop again, so hopefully we'll stay on board with him as he goes through the Degnas. See if he can get the exit of Degna 2 this time, but runs wide on the curb, and yeah, doesn't get the car into the wall, into the barriers on the outside. As I said, world of sim racing, he can continue okay, but he ran wide onto that curb, just as Cyprian did. Just as I said, that's not what you want to do. And yeah, caught him out, didn't get the car turned in for Degna 2, and ended up in the barriers on the outside. But we'll have another go. 4 minutes, 10 seconds left in qualifying at the moment. Meanwhile, Kamishov was actually on an outlap that time around, it looks like, because he has not improved. Turn 1, nice and tidy through there on the exit. Clean, now just hold on through the S's, left, right, bit nice and tidy. The thing you really need to struggle with, what in the world was that? I don't know if anyone else heard that, but I heard just a very unusual sound then. I don't know what it was.
Was it that crackling I heard, or what was that?
Yeah, I heard a crackle. I don't know what that was. Maybe you heard it on the stream, but yeah, through the S's you really overheat the tyres, and that one makes the Degnas so challenging, because that Degna 1, you don't want to run the curb too much, and you don't want to run the outside curb too much, but those hot tyres can just make you understeer wide onto that curb, and then just as Darian found out, you can end up way off track, way off course. But Kamishov doing okay this time around. He did lock up into the hairpin a little bit, but through Spoon, looked very neat and tidy through there, and he is up on his lap time at the moment, only very slightly, but flat through 130R. Comes into the Casio triangle. Will he lock the brakes as Darian did? No. Neat and tidy once again onto the exit. And he pulls into the pits. Huh. Okay. He was up on his time. So I didn't expect to see that at all. He's pulled into the pits. He'd set a 30.3 in the first sector, a 36.5 in the second sector, both purple sectors. And then, yeah, pulls into the pits at the very end. 2 minutes 30 remaining here in qualifying. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Leslie Peters, meanwhile, sets a personal best in practice and qualifying with the second off Kamishov there. It's a pretty good lap time for Peters, setting P3 on the grid at the moment. Been steadily improving, Peters. He joined, I think last season Peters joined, and he was a little off pace near the start when he first joined as a rookie, you know, time to get used to the car, get used to the system, but yeah, he's really started to come alive in the past season or so, and he's really started to pick up the pace, got a lot closer to the top guys. It's great to see. Might be after a master split seat maybe one season, next season, or maybe going for the championship next season. We will see. He's on an in lap at the moment though, so we will switch back to Shikloven. He is on an out lap, I believe, himself, with only 1 minute 30 remaining. This is going to be the last run for these guys here. The last chance to set a fast lap. The last chance to, the last time they're going to be qualifying actually this season as well. Last race of the season, last qualifying session.
Yeah, and so I guess now that already the Drivers' Championship and also the Team Championship have basically been decided, I guess the battle now for this race is mainly going to be between Cyprian Stoyan and Dmitry Kamishov.
Yeah, it's quite strange to say that, but I don't know the point situation there at all, but Kamishov was so focused on the championship at the start of the season, but yeah, with the absences and just the poor results, it's got Cyprian way back up into the mix, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's actually got quite the lead over Dmitry currently, actually. He's got 141 points compared to Dmitry with 127.
Yeah, so if Kamishov wins, there's still definitely the chance for second for Kamishov there, but yeah, he's going to have quite a lot to fight for. Meanwhile, Stoyan, you know, no stranger to these championship fights, challenger champion himself in the inaugural challenger split season. Definitely going to be... Darian runs wide through Degner 1 again, but keeps it clean enough this time. Yeah, Cyprian's going to be definitely... I would bet on him holding on to that second place, as he's currently in third position back in the pits. That his qualifying session over. Only 4 cars left on track, but yeah, Stoyan starting P3. I would put money on him keeping that P2 in the championship, which will be well deserved. Checkered flag is now out. Darian comes through, Spoon keeps it neat and tidy. Ooh, that's off the track, but okay, we'll forget about that. Viewers might have something to say about that at the end of the session, the end of the race, but 106.0, that's a purple middle sector for him, but Kamishov behind, set a purple first sector into the Casio triangle, locks the brakes again. Clean and tidy on the exit. Maximum acceleration, open the DRS for that little sprint to the line, and that is provisional pole for Kamishov, for Shikloven, but Kamishov behind through 130R. It was a huge crash into the wall. I was gonna say Kamishov was 15 seconds off in the middle sector, so he must have made a mistake. And yeah, I think in maybe a bit of anger, just kind of given up on the lap and planted it into the wall. But yeah, Shikloven. That's pole position, 127.7 for him. Kamishov is 0.123 seconds behind. So, you know, very, very close between these two guys. And Kamishov set a purple middle first sector for himself, but yeah, was not able to keep it together for an entire lap. And Shikloven, the championship, is back on pole once again. James K, meanwhile, P3 for him, but Stoyan down to P4. Peters, another strong P5, Moreno P6, and William Knowles is in 7.
So I think this might be a bit of a, well, no, maybe not difficult, but not a situation that Cyprian would have wanted to be in. If Dmitry wins this race, no matter where Cyprian finishes and gets fastest point, he will claim second in the Drivers' Championship. However, if Dmitry finishes second and Cyprian finishes third, Without any of them getting the fastest lap, Cyprian will win second in the Drivers' Championship by 1 point. But if Dimitri gets the point for fastest laps, they will be equal on points. 146 that would be. So either Cyprian needs to finish ahead of Dimitri, or Dimitri would need to finish second with Cyprian in third, without Dimitri taking the point for fastest lap.
So nothing is decided then. All still up for grabs. Cars take to the grid. Yeah, Cyprian then starting P4. Maybe not what he wanted, but then he has the inside for the turn one. As maybe the ideal line we've seen in real life Formula 1. There was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion about turn one here back in the 1990, I think, with Senna and Prost. Senna wanting the inside, I think Prost having the inside, even though he started P2. That culminated with a lap one, turn one crash between the two, and handed the championship to Senna in that occasion. But yeah, up for grabs here is P2 for Kamishov and Cyprian, both starting in front. Well, Kamishov starting in front of Cyprian in the grid ahead. But it's Shkloven on pole. Shkloven will hopefully want to maintain that lead into turn one. He has the outside, which is kind of the preferred line around here. You can sweep around the outside. And then for the S's, you have the inside for that initial left, and that can help you hold on. And then good luck passing through those S's. Unless you're very, very brave, it's unlikely to be able to make any moves there. Here we are now. The lights start to come on. 10 seconds approximately till lights out. The obligatory 6 red lights of Assetto Corsa are now illuminated. And away they go. It's a good start for Shkloven, but it's a better start for Kamishov on the inside. Shkloven moves over to cover, moves out to the outside to try and get the preferred line and keeps the lead through turn one. Meanwhile, Cyprian behind just gets into the back of Kamishov there. Had a good initial getaway, climbing up to P3, but then dropped back down behind James K into P4. So most of the field looks like they've filtered through turn one okay. Now, as I said, no way you can pass through these S's, and then comes into the Degner. Cars are very, very close together, but as I said, no one able to make a move. Kamishov maybe behind. It looks like K got a poor exit there, but Stoyan, huge for the championship here. Stoyan looks like he has come off the track. Yeah, Stoyan is now back down to the back of the grid here. K into third. Kamishov still P2. I was going to say it looked like K had a poor exit out Degner 2. Managed to catch the car, and then Stoyan, just to avoid running into the back of him, lost the car himself and has dropped down to the back of the grid now. So very, very big for the championship there. Kamishov up in P2, still behind Shkloven as we come to 130R for the first time. Kamishov just 3/10 behind already in the into the draft, but no DRS yet. He looks down the inside and they come together. Ooh, Kamishov round 180 degrees, and someone manages to crash into him. Stopped. So Darian gets away with that okay. James K behind is now P2. Moreno is now in P3, and Kamishov in quite the flip there. Kamishov is now in P6. Stoyan is now in P5 ahead of Kamishov. Sloan runs wide through turn one there, but looks like he's going to be able to hold on to the lead here. Yeah, so Stoyan now up to P4, managed to get past Knowles in P5, and Kamishov still in P6. So yeah, just coming into the Casio triangle there. Kamishov looked for the move on Shkloven. He was thereabout alongside with the overspeed from the draft, but then he just locked the brakes up a little bit, speared into the sideboard of Shkloven. Thankfully for Shkloven's sake, he managed to carry on okay, but Kamishov, after that failed overtake, just to make it worse, spins round 180 degrees and puts him down into P6. And yeah, Stoyan, the fight for second in the championship, Stoyan and Kamishov. It's now Stoyan ahead of Kamishov, which is definitely what he needs, because he already has the points advantage.
Absolutely. If it was finished as it stands right now, Cyprian would obviously become second in the Drivers' Championship with 143 points, with Dimitri at 135 without fast lap.
So definitely Kamishov's going to need to do something if he wants that second in the championship. Now it's kind of the other way around to how it was before. Now it's James K having a look at Darian into the Casio triangle. Not able to get alongside, but coming up soon. I think we're only on lap 2. So yeah, next lap DRS will be enabled. James K with the fastest lap of the race so far, although then Moreno, Stoyan actually set fastest lap as well. So these guys at the front not having the best lap times. Meanwhile, P3 and P4, wow. I was saying that Kamishov on his own in a bit of clear air after that collision set to 131.7. I think that's around 2 seconds faster than the rest of the field that lap. So it shows you the power of running in clean air. Obviously Shiklovan was a bit disadvantaged by getting together with Kamishov on the exit of the last corner, but K is keeping him honest here. Oh, I punched my microphone, sorry for that. K is keeping him honest here, staying right up behind the rear wing of that Younger GP Junior car. Coming into the hairpin. I was going to say earlier on lap 1, this is the first place you can make an overtake. A bit of action further back distracted me a little bit, but yeah, lap 1, or throughout the whole lap basically, if you don't get that move done into turn 1, you have to wait until that hairpin to be able to make another move, and even then it's not guaranteed. And just like turn 1, you can maybe make a move into Spoon, but you're just going to compromise your exit through here, and that's huge straight. We saw Kamishov closing up to Shiklovan through here. This huge straight can just pull you along. No DRS down here. Even, you know, it's one of those corners, one of the straights where they decide not to have the DRS. Maybe the fearsome 130R, you know, maybe some drivers would not be able to run the DRS through there and would just be pushing it a bit too much. But yeah, this is the only help of DRS you have here down this start-finish straight. So the DRS will be open now, I think, or will be enabled now. Maybe not open this lap just because of where the... Oh no, so yeah, DRS open now for K. Manages to stay within that second for Shiklovan on that lap. Kamishov behind, still setting fastest laps, 130.9 for him. Closing up on William Knowles in front of him. Like Stoyan. Yeah, so the closest battle on track actually is here for Shiklovan, with James K chasing for P1. Shiklovan losing a bit of time through that first sector, allowing K to get within 0.5, 0.6 seconds, and then through that straight, looks like Shiklovan is just pulling away a little more, so Shiklovan must be running less aero than K. You know, it's quite a clear indication track like this. You've got that very, very twisty turn, first sector, turn 1, and then the left, right, and then Dunlop, which relies heavily on aero, and then just where K and Shiklovan are now, this big, long straight, completely dependent on power, completely dependent on how much you have in the battery, and of course how much wing you are running. See here, Shiklovan is just pulling away ever so slightly from K as they come down this straight. Then thankfully for K's sake, he has the DRS. Yeah, he will have the DRS this time as well down this start-finish straight, and we'll just pull him along, allow him to keep up with Shiklovan. Then that the extra aero that K seems to be running allows him to get a little closer to Shiklovan through that first sector as well. We'll ride on board with K as we come into turn 1. You can see the front wing flexing. The aero load increases, a very, very nice feature of these VRC Formula Alpha cars that we've run this season. It's a very, very cool effect, something that we've not really highlighted as much as we could, but thanks VRC for making a fantastic car. It's been a real great season to watch these drivers, you know, handle these cars, throw them around as you can do, slide them around. But yeah, K closing up in that first sector here, 0.474. Be a bit too precise there through that first sector. So he's catching up, 0.4 or so in the first sector, 0.4 of a second as Shiklovan loses the rear a little bit on the brakes. So Shiklovan really struggling on the brakes. We saw in qualifying, lost the rear on the brakes into the Casio triangle, losing the rear into the hairpin there as well. Something he's going to need to be aware of, because big slide through the exit of Spoon there as well. Something he needs to be aware of, because if he just gets it wrong, that could send him round spinning, and yeah, would quite ruin his race to say. But here we are on board with Kamishov, the very beaten up front wing, after he came together, clattered the sideboard of Shiklovan. Will he do the same this time around? No, he won't. He's on the outside now as he's squeezed onto the grass. Manages to... Oh, a huge jump as well as he goes off track there. That is so sad to see, and that is him out of the race. So that's very... So, Stoyan... There's our championship for P2 decided. Stoyan is P2 in the championship. nothing more he needs to do. Kamishov is out of the race after being squeezed onto the grass by Knowles then. Knowles just seemed to move over in the braking zone for the Casio Triangle, pushed Kamishov onto the grass. Yeah, just wasn't able to, well, obviously, you know, the grass here is very, very bumpy here at Suzuka, and yeah, just the huge jump there he did. You know, Kamishov obviously done with the race, didn't really want to continue after being, you know, crashing lap 1 and then being spun off again at the same corner. It's sad to see. Obviously, the fight between Stoyan and Kamishov could have been quite interesting, but yeah, Kamishov out of the race. Stoyan, congratulations on P2 in the championship. I think he's probably one of the most successful Challenger Split drivers, simply because won the first season, second in this season in the championship in so good to see as he sets a purple first sector. Yeah, Shkloven out in front then. P1 for him still. James K still keeping an honest behind as K runs wide up the triangle. And just drops behind that 1 second margin. Will he have DRS this time around? I can't see. Yes, he will. So K in the black number 6 car has DRS still, but he just had a poor exit out of the Casio Triangle and allowed Cloven to pull away a little bit. But again, you see here, K with the extra aero is closing in ever so slightly, 0.6 or so. Where will he be after Dunlop? Ooh, runs wide. Don't want to get on that curb too much as it can send you into a 360 spin at very, very high speed. But yeah, so 0.5, 0.5 of a second separating these two cars through the exit of Degner 1. Then Shkloven managing actually the better exit than himself. But up again, so those tyres for Shkloven really going to be struggling. And something we've not talked about, Case, at all, are the tyres. What tyres is everyone on? Ah, and look at that. Shkloven is on the C2s. Yep. Yes, Shkloven is on the C2s, K is on the C3s, Stoyan on the C3s, Moreno on the C3s, Knowles on the C3s, and Leslie Peters is on the C2s as well. So it's a C3 sandwich at the moment. C2 is the bread, C3 is the filling. Yeah, the front and the back of the field both with C2s, and yeah, everyone in the middle deciding on those C3s. So it's either the best tyre or the worst tyre, depending on which driver you look at. Shkloven is managing to hang on to that P1 at the moment, even with that tyre disadvantage, which will slowly and surely turn into a tyre advantage as the P3s wear out the soft compound. K will have to peel off into the pits earlier, meanwhile Shkloven can just keep on pounding in those laps with those C2, the hard C2 tyres. And actually that'll explain a lot of this, the first sector deficit for Shkloven. K has those C3s, maybe he is running the higher aero, but those C3s are just going to provide so much more mechanical grip, and look how close he is now through Dunlop into Degner 1. Bit tidy, keep it clean, managed to do so, get a better exit than you did last time, James, and he did. So K with those C3s definitely helping out for him here. Cloven running wide again. We were saying that Cloven was running those, he was locking up into the hairpin. Not going to be doing his tyres very good, and he's really going to need to take care of those C2s. Obviously, they're going to last longer than the C3s, but you don't want to ruin the tyres by just locking up and sliding everywhere when you do have the harder tyres, because it just means that you may as well have not ran the harder tyre and just run the softer ones, because if you're just locking up all the time, they're not going to last you very long, even if they are the harder compound. K is much, much closer than he was before to Shkloven, bounces through 130R, not fully solved the porpoising in this VRC car at the last race of the season, but so close to K through there. Shkloven fishtailing around through that last sector, guards the inside. K was 0.4 of a second faster that last lap. He has the DRS, he's going to be close into turn 1, but as normal, you cannot pass through here, you cannot pass in this first sector. The left, no way you can pass. The right, you lift the throttle, but you can't get alongside. You just have to sit behind, and then the dirty air really hits you through this left-right into Dunlop. You're really going to feel it through here. You just have to back out the throttle, let the car settle itself down before you can really get on the throttle and get the car back sorry, I was just reading the timings then. So K lost, I was saying about the dirty air, you have to wait. He loses the rear. You have to wait to get back on the throttle. Just because you're going to drift out wide with that dirty air naturally. And another thing as well, he's going to have the hotter tyres. Having to follow like that, you're relying more on the tyres, less on the aero. And as Kay found out then, he had the little less grip. He was a little closer to Darian. And the tyres got a little hotter, and then he just had a bit less grip coming through the hairpin. And that has cost him dearly. He's now 1 second behind Chikloven. He's going to be outside the DRS now, unless he can really close up in this braking zone. And does not look like he can. So yeah, Chikloven manages to get outside of the DRS. Kay has a poor lap on lap 9 of 35 here. Drops outside that DRS zone. Yeah, so he's 4/10 faster last time round. Kay was 7/10 slower this time round. Go away, Mr. Bot, in Twitch chat.
Kay's gone off.
Oh, Kay gone off. I'm so sorry. I was distracted by a bot in the Twitch chat. Kay spins through turn 1. Those C3 tyres starting to drop off now. Stoyan's gone into the pits. Meanwhile, Moreno then in P3 is caught right up to the back of Chikloven. Thanks for catching that, Case. I was distracted by the bot in the Twitch channel. Please ignore them, or if anyone sees that. Yeah, Moreno now right on the tail of Kay. Those C3 tyres starting to drop off. Moreno holding on those C3 tyres. Lap 10 of 35. Just under a third distance. It is about now you would expect the C3 tyres to start to die. Moreno looks to the inside. Kay smartly does not react at all. He doesn't need to. Moreno was never going to be able to make the overtake there, but just putting the pressure on Kay, trying to force that error, get himself up into P2. They're both running in the podium, but the more points you can get, the better. You know, the points differences here in the podium positions is much greater. P9 to P10 is only 1 point. Up here, it's I think it's 5 points or 6 points for P3 to P2. So definitely a position you want to get if you can. So yeah, Stoyan pitted that last lap. He's now kind of in no man's land on his own. It's P6 for him, but obviously he's pitted, so we'll have to watch his lap time, see what he can do. Other drivers may decide to pit, reacting to him. Yeah, so 38.5 that time around. Kay lost around 7-8 seconds with that spin. I just glanced away from the monitor for a moment and did not see it. He's continued for another lap as Kay, so the tyres are probably okay. They're going to be a bit hot, but could be okay. Meanwhile, Stoyan here, nice clear track in front of him. Probably going to maybe even end up undercutting Kay here, hitting that much earlier. With the tyre advantage he's going to have now, and obviously Kay made that error, made that mistake and spun around. Will allow Stoyan to challenge for that P2 now, which if Kamishov was here, would be terrible for Kamishov, but Kamishov has already DNF'd from the race. And Kay with a huge power slide essentially locks the rears, gets wide through the hairpin, gets wide through the exit, side by side on the run up to Spoon. Okay, Moreno back behind. Looked like Moreno had the better exit then, but somehow Kay managed to pull ahead a little further, maybe just dumped the battery, but Kay's tyres very hot, very worn. Moreno behind has kind of just been keeping his nose clean, keeping it neat and tidy, and that is paying off for him so far. Challenging now for P2. Kay, meanwhile, is pulling away on that straight, but gonna have to pit soon. Surely he's struggling with the car, struggling with the tyres. Chikloven sets personal best in P1. Yes, okay, into the pit lane. Be interesting to see where he comes out relative to Stoyan. Chikloven set personal best that time around on the C2 tyres. Meanwhile, all these C3 runners are now starting to drop off. Stoyan is on the C2s now as well. Kay will be pitting on the C3s, the C2s himself as he misses his pit box, having to reverse in the pit lane there. Here comes Stoyan. Would have maybe been neck and neck if he didn't miss his pit box, but that is unfortunate for James Kay. After that spin, after that mistake, and yeah, just missing his pit box there, Stoyan has jumped him, so Stoyan is now a net P2. Or very, very close to Moreno at least. We'll have to see when Moreno decides to pull the plug and pit himself. I think it might be this lap. He's going to react to Kay, I'm sure, and it might be racing with Stoyan if Moreno gets the perfect pit stop compared to Kay. But Shkloven, bit of an easy run for him now. After K made that mistake, 7-8 seconds. There's still 23 laps to go. Still plenty of time for him to make a mistake. Plenty of time for other drivers to close that gap. But Shkloven, the champion, has been the class of the field basically all season. He's been very, very fast. Never really been off it. And yeah, on these C2 tyres, the alternate strategy might be working out for him. 31.9 for Shkloven on lap 13. What will Moreno do behind? Decides to stay out for another lap, not reacting to K. 132.3, so the lap times aren't actually too bad. He's on the softer tyre, but they're now very worn compared to Shkloven's C2s. So, those lap times are not bad at all, but the one to watch is Stoyan. He is completing his first lap on a fresh set of C2s. 13 out of 35 for him, 131.9, so around the same time as Shkloven. I think Stoyan may have picked up a bit of damage on lap 1, so it could explain the pace deficit there. But the same compound as Shkloven, getting approximately the same lap times, so closing, well, the undercutting Moreno there. Obviously K has already dropped behind quite significantly, 7 seconds now to Stoyan, which is a shame to see. He did have a good start and was running pretty strong at the start of the race, challenging for that win. But yeah, the mistake at turn 1 has cost him, unfortunately. Moreno is watch here. Going to be pushing hard, I'm sure, draining all the energy in that battery before his pit stop, which will be coming up very, very shortly, I'm sure. Probably this lap, but I said that last lap and it wasn't to be. Go past our very beautiful crowd here in Assetto Corsa, all staring at the camera. I can't give a reason why, but always makes me laugh, that camera angle. Shkloven stays out another lap. Moreno running deep at the Casio triangle. Will he pit this lap? Yes, he will. So Moreno into the pit lane, crashes into our cameraman. Where will he come out? Lap times were not too bad, but K obviously pitted just a few laps earlier. He's going to have had the undercut. That doesn't make sense, does it? He's basically going to be undercutting Knowles if he can get a good exit. Stoyan comes through the start-finish straight, down the start-finish straight in front of Knowles, in front of Moreno. K, meanwhile, just finishes the pit exit. So Knowles, yeah, the undercut definitely working out for K. He pitted a little early, maybe because he wore his tyres out, but Knowles is now exiting the pit lane himself in P6, and I feel like I'm getting Moreno and Knowles confused. Give me a minute. Who was running P3? Was it Knowles and was it Moreno?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I'm confused myself with the teammates. Kilgore, our pit lane commentator. Can you provide any insight on the situation? We have Kilgore Trout here as well. He's our pit lane commentator this round. Maybe he was paying closer attention to me. The two Diamondback Racing Team cars. I'm getting confused here. But so it was a C3. It was a C3 sandwich at the start of the race. It is now a James K sandwich. The bread is Diamondback Racing cars, and filling is James K. Moreno is right on the back of Stoyan here, who did manage to get up to P3. Peters is yet to pit. Moreno backing off through 130R, not comfortable to make the move there. Stoyan apparently got into contact with someone. Huh. I don't know if Moreno and Cyprian came together just before then. We had a little flash on the little telemetry database we've got that Stoyan had some damage now, but here comes Moreno. Ooh, Moreno having to back out there. Moreno with a huge overspeed with the DRS. Cyprian moved just at the last second to block the inside. Very, very well judged for Stoyan to defend that position. Moreno quite smartly backed out of it, didn't want to commit too much, got on the brakes a little earlier. Both drivers lived to fight another day, because that could have been a very huge crash if one of them had got it wrong. But here comes Moreno again. Cyprian just struggling out here. So slow through these Degnas as he loses the rear. Side by side through Degna 2 after Moreno. Ooh, so Moreno through into P3. Stoyan in P4 now. Stoian lost the rear of the car on the exit of Degner 1, was so slow through Dunlop for some reason. And yeah, Moreno with a fantastic move. Obviously, Stoian lost the car, but Moreno just sneaked through on the inside there, side by side through Degner 2. Yeah, that puts K right on the back of Stoian now as well. It doesn't appear Kilgore is here, unfortunately, who I was talking about earlier, but the race for Stoian was going quite well after that initial lap 1 upset, but here he's falling down the order again. K on the outside of the Casio triangle. Stoian guards the inside. Ooh, loses the rear. A bit of a switch back for K there. Side by side through the last corner. Ooh, Stoian very, very aggressive. Very, very good defender, but nothing he can do about K with the DRS going through the outside and into P4. So Stoian down into P5 after that undercut working out for him, getting him back up into the podium positions, but has just started to fall down again. Fortunate to see, because it looked like it was going Cyprian's way there, but obviously he has T2 in the championship. No real stress for him. The pressure is gone. Not sure if he knows that, of course. He's busy driving the car. We have a much easier perspective here, watching them. Oh, as Cyprian messes up the Degner 1 corner again. Hit the curb by the looks of things. Almost spear to the inside. Manages to get hold of the car and survive, but Cyprian's really struggling now. Cloven up in P1 on those C2 tyres, still carrying on a 34-second gap to Peters now. Peters is yet to pit, I believe. We'll just check that. Yeah, Peters is yet to pit. He is also running on the C2 tyres as Cloven. So Cloven is basically net P1 even after the pit stop, so he's doing a fantastic job here. Never rule anything out though. Something could happen yet. He's pushing pretty hard though, setting pretty good lap times. Moreno sets a personal best himself. He's on the C3s. He must be doing a two-stop. As we're just at half distance now. No way he's getting to the end on those tyres, and Stoian's into the pits again.
I think he said another. I'm not sure if he hit maybe the inside of the pit wall. I got another notification that he had an incident. So
yeah, maybe another off-track excursion for Stoian. Just making an error somewhere. If it was in the pit lane or just before the maybe in the last corner, he's decided to pit again. He's on the C2 tyres. He's continuing on as Kamishov didn't, which is good to see. We always love to see drivers finish the race, especially when there's only 7 cars on track. Guaranteed points.
I mean, I guess right now his main priority is just going to be, finishing the race, even if it isn't on the podium. Do it for the boys. He's gotten P2 in the championship, even if he DNFs, but I think he would still prefer to finish it either way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from a driver's perspective, my perspective is always finish the race no matter what. You never know what might happen. You never know if there might be a red flag, a safety car. Stranger things have happened always, and never stop pushing, basically. Always a shame to see drivers retire from the race, The team owner's perspective, it's obviously very disappointing. Cyprian messes up into the hairpin. I keep saying he messes up. Makes a little mistake and locks the brakes into the hairpin. Yeah, from a team owner's perspective, it's always disappointing to see a driver, retire from the race if they can continue. I've had it myself. I've had drivers before. I won't name any names, Christoph. But yeah, I've had drivers myself. Think, oh, I'm sick of racing. I'm gonna just pull over and retire from the race. It's just one of those things, it's sim racing. Everyone does it for fun. If you're not having fun, yeah, fair enough. But it's always a shame to see. But Stoian, very, very experienced driver here in Formula Trout. If not, might even be the most experienced driver now. It was David Bull before, DJB before, but Stoian has been just sticking around, setting these laps, putting on great races for us for so many seasons now. He might actually be the most experienced on the grid now. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's continuing on in this race at Japan. He put on a show for us as normal. Cloven up in front. This is his first season in Formula Trout. Crosses the line at lap 19 of 35. Still in the lead. Those C2 tyres still hanging on. 16 laps remaining here in Japan. Yes, this is the DAC sponsored Japanese Grand Prix. As Kilgar Trout has made the track skin for us. We've got the lovely DAC Racing sponsorship around the track, and then we also have the beautiful DAC blimp flying in the sky. Thank you for that, Kilgar, as Peters comes into the pit lane finally from P2 and spins into the pit lane. 280 degrees, 270 degrees actually, even, as he clatters the pit wall there, trying to get the car turned around. That's gonna almost, I'm not gonna say it's gonna ruin his race, but he was putting in a great performance there, holding onto those C2 tyres, running P2 at the time, but he's now P5 and he's not even made his stop yet. Going to be racing Cyprian here as he comes into the Casio Triangle. I'm going to call it, I suppose it's maybe the DAC Triangle with the DAC Racing sponsors. DAC Racing sponsors there. Thank you for that, Kilgar. Nice skin. I will mention as Peters is out the pit lane there in P5, just 6 seconds ahead, 5 seconds ahead of Stoian. That could spice up a little later depending on how those gaps go. Yeah, well, I will say, as a sake of transparency, I am the team owner of DAC Racing, so a little bit of bias there. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any close battles on track at the moment, so
They've
I'll
made an
highlight
extra
the
point
spots
for us in this last race, so we've got to try to do our best here, you know.
What's going on with Shkloven? Is he pitting yet? No, he's not. He's staying out again. So 19, lap 20 of 35. Completed 19 laps on those C2 tyres. They're going to be quite worn now. 15 laps to go. Over half distance on these tyres. But they're holding on. He's holding on. Doing a good job of holding on. And the lap times are still good. So why pit? The beautiful helmet of Shkloven there. Younger GP sponsors, CRG sponsors. The nice little Formula Trout logo. You like to see that on people's helmets. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, Shkloven, this season champion, doing such a great job all season. Darian Shkloven 901 on the back of the steering wheel there. Yeah, he's good job. The Spoon keep the car on the correct line, which he does. Neat and tidy too. Very, very good Spoon, especially with having worn tyres. A very good knife and fork though. Sorry. 130R. Will he pit this lap? 15 laps to go. Are we 4/7 of the way through the race? Yes, into the pit lane this lap for Darian Shkloven. 35 seconds in front of Andy Moreno. Should come out quite far ahead of him if he can have a clean pit stop. Moreno coming through Spoon now. Shkloven comes into his pit box, stops on his marks, doesn't miss his pit box, just as James Kay did, and away he goes again past the safety car that I am sat in currently in the virtual world, and into the pit exit onto the start finish straight, coming into turn 1. He is still apparently 35 seconds in front of Moreno. I don't think that is correct. Just wait for the timing to update there. By 15 seconds, so he lost around 20 seconds in that pit stop, so he has, you know, half a pit stop in hand or so, so if he can keep pushing on those new C3 tyres, they're going to be very, very fast for the next 14 laps. He's going to be able to maybe build that gap up again, and maybe he'll go for another pit stop and try set fastest lap if someone else doesn't already try that themselves. Stoian, meanwhile, coming through the last corner. What is his lap time? 31.0 for Peters, 32.1 for Stoian. I was saying that battle might spice up later on. They might close together, but Peters has the better of Stoian at the moment, is pulling away from the most experienced drivers in the league. Yeah, Peters doing a good job here. Number 14. I think it's number 14. It is number 14. The very stretched number 14 on the back of the engine cover. Can't see.
Speaking of 14, it is actually currently 14 degrees out on track as well, so quite a rather cold day for Suzuka. Maybe not around this time, I'm not sure, but it's quite a cold temperature just as has been lately for Trout.
Well, yeah, obviously we are running the season here is in winter now. We replicate that in game, and yeah, the temperatures around in most of the world is, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, Most of the world is much, much cooler now. Usually drivers are used to maybe 40, 50 degree track temperature, but yeah, as you say, 14 degree ambient temperature, and I think the track temperature is not much higher, if not the same.
It is equal.
Yeah, so 14 degree ambient, 14 degree track, no sunshine out there. Keeping the track nice and cool, but that is ideal for these cars, ideal for the tyres. You can run softer tyres for longer, you can run them harder before they overheat, just overall faster. I know in the world of sim racing, some of the real, aliens that put in those laps on the time trial, trying to set the fastest possible lap, no matter the conditions, they all run on, I think, 10 degrees track temperature. It's the minimum you're allowed in Assetto Corsa, and that's what all the time trial hot lapping demons do, to try just maximize every margin they can get. But I'm looking, oh well, to go as fast as possible, basically. Meanwhile, here in Formula Trout, though, we try replicate real life conditions as much as possible. Unfortunately, we do not have rain here. That will hopefully be coming soon. Custom shader patch, the fantastic team, the fantastic guy behind it. Basically, it's one guy doing the majority of the development work for that. He does such a great job. Makes this car possible, makes the Formula Alpha possible, makes those sparks you see flying off behind the car possible, makes the blimp in the sky possible. It's transformed Assetto Corsa, basically, provided so much more life to the simulator. We definitely probably wouldn't be running Formula Trout on Assetto Corsa still without it, so big thanks to him. Big thanks to VRC for making the Formula Alpha car, which uses that custom shader patch, the physics. Greatly enhance, the realism, the handling of the car, the appearance of the car. Those flexy wings I talked about earlier, all possible due to custom shader patch. If you play Assetto Corsa and you haven't already got that, definitely go and download it. You can disable much of the features that you don't want, but the overall features they have are great. There's, as you see, the sparks flying from the cars, the blimp in the sky, just the physics tweaks. They're really fantastic. But it adds night, it adds dynamic lighting. It's, as I said, transforms Assetto Corsa. All the mod developers that go out of their way to develop cars, develop tracks for the game, for the simulator. As always, big thanks to them. We've ran RSS cars for many, many seasons in the past. The RSR Formula 3, this VRC car, the VRC Formula Americas, I think it's called, their IndyCar interpretation. All possible. All these races possible due to them, so big thanks to all of them, as Darian sets fastest lap on those C3 tyres, 120.9 into the 20s now in the race. But actually, speaking of the mod developers, if anyone, avid fan of the Assetto Corsa, avid fan of the VRC cars, they have released today a new car. It is their interpretation of the 2008 GP2 regulations, now, which is turned into Formula 2 nowadays, but it's the Formula Beta 2008, which, as I said, is their interpretation of the the GP2 regulation cars. So cars that drivers such as Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, Nico Hulkenberg drove. I think Perez as well was there. Load of the current Formula 1 crop, very successful drivers all drove in those GP2 cars, and now you can experience that on Assetto Corsa as well with the VRC car. It's $399 US. I've not been asked by VRC to promote this. I would just like to. This VRC Formula Alpha is a fantastic car, been great throughout the season, real fun to drive, and yeah, if you want to support the guys that makes this possible, go on search virtual racing cars Assetto Corsa, and I'm sure it will come up into Google or the other search engine of your choice. Yeah, that goes for Formula Trout as well. If you want to get involved here, this is the final race of the season, unfortunately, but if you want to get involved here, you can join us. Discord invite link is in the description below. Say hello, join up the server. We have the Sprint Series ongoing at the moment in the Tartus, the Formula 4 Formula Bath car. That is currently ongoing. We had the first race of the season, which was turned into a test race due to an unforeseen issue. But yeah, say hello, get involved in that. James K. Pitts E3. Get involved in that and say hello. We'll be very glad to have you on track. And also, if that's not quite your taste, we'll have some very fun winter events. We'll have the Winter Cup probably going on over the next few weeks, over the next month or so, into January. And then, you know, into the future we'll have Season 11 of the Premier Series. I don't know what car will be running as of yet, but it'll probably be another open wheel, very high speed car developed by one of the fantastic mod teams on Assetto Corsa, Race Sim Studio, or Virtual Racing Cars, VRC, or maybe another. We're yet to see. Yeah, after that prolonged shout out for all the mod teams and Assetto Corsa, we'll return back to the racing. Cloven still in P1, setting very, very fast lap times. As I said before, he set fastest lap. What is his lap times like this time around? He was into the 20s, just above that now, 30.3. Very, very good lap times. James Kay, who pitted from P3, is now in P5. 9 seconds is the gap to Peters. 15 seconds to Knowles. 15 seconds to the podium in 10 laps. It'll be possible, we'll see. Moreno in P2 at 131.9. Knowles 18 seconds behind Moreno, so the two Diamondback cars separated by quite a wide margin now. So 32.6 Knowles, 31 for Peters, so Peters really pushing in those lap times now. James Kay behind, teammate to Peters. Of course he pitted this lap, but he's going to be pushing now. I think he's on the C3 tyre. Yep, C3 tyre for Kay, C3 tyre for Peters. Knowles is on the C3 tyre as well. Oh. That is a incorrect. The UI is incorrect there. Please disregard that. They're all on C3s for sure, but they have not been on the C3s for 25 laps, as it says. I know Cloven for sure has been on them around 6 laps or so. 130 dead for him, so those C3 tyres are still working out for him, hovering around the 30 flat mark. None of the field is able to react to him really. Stoian, who made that extra pit stop earlier on, 3.7 seconds behind Kay. Gap coming down now a little bit. Will he be able to close? 7-8 laps remaining. Japan. Through Spoon. Neat, untidy. So Stoian, you know, seemingly more comfortable with the car as he was earlier. I don't know if he was carrying damage, carrying an issue, but continuing okay now. Shikloven was very slow on the exit of Degna 2 there, so I don't know if Shikloven had made a mistake then. Keep an eye on the sector times. He had just set a purple sector 1, but we'll see what the time is for sector 2 when he gets around to the timing beam, because he looked very, very slow on the exit of Degna 2. The engine revs were very low, unless he was short shifting or just saving fuel. A little wobble through Spoon there. Don't know where the sector time is around here. There it is, and yeah, that was a 42 in the middle sector, so he lost 5 seconds or so in that middle sector, so he must have made a mistake on the Degna 2. Didn't cost him too much, 25 seconds in front of Moreno, so he has more than a margin to be able to make a pit stop. But you don't want to be doing that too much, because if you get it wrong, you could be in the wall, and then instead of just losing 5 seconds, you could be losing 10, 20, 30, or you might even DNF from the race. It would be a shame for Shkaloven, seeing as he has led basically every lap and started on pole. Peters here in P4 has now started to catch up to Knowles in front, now within 0.6 of a second. The car bouncing through 130R. The setup team for Peters very happy to let the car porpoise, let the driver feel the bouncing is through the steering wheel, through the seat, as Moreno and Knowles, the two Diamondback cars, hit on the same lap, lap 28 out of 35 from the podium positions. That's going to push Moreno down into P3. Where is Knowles going to come out? He's yet to get to his pit box. Hey, crosses the finish line, crosses the start-finish line, which is not at the last lap yet. He's now up into P4, so Knowles drops back down to P5. Back down to P6, Stoian jumps him as well. So a long pit stop for Knowles there. I did notice they were running the C3 tyres, so the 2-stop for them, and it doesn't look like it's working out. They were running double Diamondback podium for them, but now it's Diamondback P3 and Knowles P6 with K right behind Moreno there. I think K was behind Knowles. He's now back. No, he wasn't. I don't know who was behind. Peters was behind him. Ah, the teammates are confusing me here. Right behind Moreno is K. Bowman, meanwhile, still setting 30 flats. So very, very good lap times for him on those C3 tyres, holding on well. K, C3s, looking at Moreno, who's on a fresh set of C3s himself. Oh, is he on C4s even? Go through the UI. Yeah, C4s, so Moreno on the C4s, yeah.
Same for William Knowles as well, I just noticed.
So Knowles, depending on how we can close the gap on Stowe, might be looking at P5 at the end. Just saw a yellow flag pop up for Shikloven. Seems to be going okay. Just coming through the hairpin there. It was at the exit of Degner 2 as well, where the yellow flag was out, so I wonder if he made another error just trying to set fastest lap. These C3 tyres are going to be wearing out now, 10 laps or so. And we've missed the overtake for P1, P3. K up into P3. Moreno drops back behind K, but Moreno on those C4 tyres, he's going to be the faster car. Just wasn't able to stay in front for now. K has the DRS, but Moreno has the C4 tyres, should be able to hold on through here. Unfortunately, we missed the overtake there, switching to Shikloven. Don't think it's over yet, though. Moreno on the C4s, the red-walled C4 tyres you can see on his car have more mechanical grip than K. Although James K set a purple first sector then. Shikloven pits. Shikloven into the pit lane. I was going to say K or Moreno or Knowles might be going for fastest lap on the C4s. I am sure we'll see Shikloven come out now on the C4s himself. What tyres has Shikloven chosen? He has chosen the C4s. So Shikloven is definitely going for that fastest lap point. 5 laps remaining here. Plenty of time to try and get it. And he has a huge gap to Peters behind. Around 30 seconds or so after that pit stop. Moreno on the C4 tyres himself. Is he able to do anything about K, who has just passed him for the podium positions? 3. Has the DRS, but way too far back to be able to do anything. We saw him struggling the lap before as well, so those C4s running a little wide through turn 1. Knowles, his teammate behind, 31.9, so not able to set a good lap time at all, to be honest. You know, Shikloven was doing 30 flats on the C3. Knowles, 31.9. That's almost 2 seconds off on the C4, so I'm wondering if the C4 is just in the race when the cars are loaded up with fuel, they just can't deal with that extra fuel load. They're just asking a little too much from the compound, and it's they just can't get the lap times in. Because Moreno is struggling himself here on the C4s. We'll see what Shikloven does. Maybe he's compensated with the tyre pressures. The team at the strategy team at Younger GP, obviously a much larger outfit, part of the CRG Younger GP conglomerate. Max Younger gonna have spoken to his drivers. They will have talked within themselves and been able to maybe get the better setup, the better tyre pressures, be able to run those C4s in the race. But Moreno and Knowles are struggling. Yeah, A in front, 7/10 or so in front of Moreno. Gonna have DRS again. Will he be close enough? I doubt it. Ooh, as K actually loses the rear there, so this might be on for Moreno. Slingshot out the last corner, get the DRS open. K kind of hovering around in the middle of the track, does not go defensive onto the inside, and Moreno looks to the inside, but K holds on around the outside, shuts the door through the second phase of turn 1 or turn 2 depending on how you call it, and manages to hold on for another lap. Or hold on full stop. There's only 4 laps remaining, and there's no guarantee that Moreno will be able to overtake. K was only alongside Moreno there due to him losing the rear out the last corner, but still that's 4 laps more to make a mistake, 4 laps more for Moreno to be able to make a move. closes up through that hairpin once again. Recovery light flashing on the back of K's car. Really recovering the battery. Needs the charge for this huge long straight we have here. Maximising the deployment through Spoon onto the exit. And wow, look at that Shkloven on those C4 tyres. I said, would he be able to make them work? 28.7, so 1.3 seconds faster than he was on those C3. That's definitely fastest lap so far. Will anyone be able to beat it? Moreno here on the C4s is stuck behind another car, stuck behind K. Gonna have DRS again. And K, keep it neat and tidy this time. Yes, he can, but Moreno is still close. Those C4s have started to work out for him. Goes to the inside yet again. K leaves him room, but this time, all side by side yet again. But look at that, K just pushed off the track. Little contact between the two cars, and that is Moreno up into podium positions, up into P3. K is not done yet. He's still right behind him, and those C4 tyres are going to start to wear. But yellow flag for Peters. Peters has gone off at Dunlop. Disasters for the King's Racing car of Leslie Peters. Into the wall, it looked like, at Dunlop. Lost the car. Was running P2. Very, very strong result for him. K fighting for that podium position. But what looked like a Diamondback double podium went into a King's Racing double podium, and now looks like it is Diamondback versus King's Racing in the podium positions, because that moves Moreno up to P2 and moves K up to P3. Cloven out in front, 29.6 on those C4 tyres. Huge 27-second gap allows him a pit stop in hand if anything happens to Shkloven. I think he's yet to lap anyone yet though, which is interesting. Oh! K loses the rear. K loses the rear into the Casio triangle there. Just glanced away from the screen, saw him spinning. Lost the rear on the brakes. He's got going again. Thankfully for his sake, Peters making that mistake earlier, he's dropped back enough that K holds on to that P3. But his days of fighting for that P2, it looks like they're over for now at least. That's 3 seconds he's lost. Could have been much, much more. Yeah, he manages to stay out the wall, but locked the rears into the Casio triangle. We saw Shkloven do the same in qualifying. We saw Kamishov do the same and clatter Shkloven's front side pod on lap 1. And then K falls foul of it himself and is 180 degrees. Puts the track a little bit and manages to continue on his way. Thankfully, for his sake, not losing too much time, only 3 seconds or so. But that battle for P2 is probably over now. Moreno will be glad to have this King's Racing car out of his rear mirror, off his gearbox. If he can just keep it on the road, those C4 tyres might be able to go for fastest lap now as well in clear air. Will probably only 1 lap remaining, 2 laps remaining. Will be pretty sure of his podium position. P2 is a good result for the Diamondback team. Not sure if it will bump them up a place in the constructors, as there's a yellow flag out for Peters. Peters has made another mistake. Only a few laps ago he was running P2. He's now down in P5, second from last. Still a good points result with this small of a grid, unfortunately. But yeah, look at that, Peters just falling down the order. Lost 4 positions now in just 2 laps. Waste of time in pitting. There's only 2 laps remaining. If he pits, he's 100% going to drop behind Knowles. So all he can do is just hold on, see if he can keep the car on the road. He's on the C3 tyres, and they must be very old C3 tyres, because he is not able to, not having a very good time out there as he goes on board into turn 1. Gingerly through here, just taken nice and easy, but Knowles behind, licking his lips, getting closer and closer to the gearbox of Peters. It's Diamondback versus King's Racing for P2, P3. It's Diamondback versus King's Racing for P5 and P6. Both King's Racing cars making mistakes. Meanwhile, the Diamondback cars may be out of position due to strategy, but seem to be the stronger pair of drivers here. Making the overtakes when it counts, getting into the positions that they need. Shkloven starts the final lap of the race, so these guys have this lap and the next one to go. Knowles very, very close on the gearbox of Peters. Peters recovering battery through on the run down to Spoon, and Knowles backing off before getting to Spoon. Doesn't want to ruin his tyres. Those C4 tyres very, very sensitive to dirty air, and doesn't want to let Peters kind of trick him, get behind his gearbox and then just repass him. But he's only got one lap to go, so he's going to have to make it count. This is the last time he's going to get the DRS as well. If he even gets the DRS, because he's quite far behind Peters. Into the Casio Triangle, Peters goes deep. Ideal for Knowles, get a good exit. Knowles gets a fantastic exit. He's going round the outside of Peters already. The DRS is open, and on the outside, doesn't even need to make the overtake into the corner. He's through before turn 1. With Peters, P2 to P6 in just 3 laps. Heartbreak for him. But on the other hand, Shikloven, the perfect race for Shikloven, managed P1 now for the whole race. He got pole position. He's got fastest lap. Through the 130R for the last time into the Casio Triangle. Yellow flags are out for Peters again, so he's made another mistake, unfortunately. But all eyes are on Shikloven as he comes through the last corner to win here in Suzuka, the final race of the season. The champion going out in style, winning the last Challenger Split race of the season as the champion. But further back down the field, we have Moreno and Kay. Kay's managed to catch way back up to Moreno, actually, if you look there. Only 1 second approximately separating them. Yellow flags again for Peters, so Peters had another mistake, probably. But Moreno comes through the Casio Triangle for the last time. Powers down the hill. Keep it clean, keep it tidy. Don't want to lose the car on the last lap. And takes P2 for Diamondback Racing. P3 for Kay for Kings Racing. Stoia would have not been really the position he wanted if Kamishov was still here, but Kamishov DNFing from the race means Stoyan in P4 is all he needs, more than all he needs. He doesn't even need to finish the race to claim P2 in the championship. Knowles comes through the last corner himself for P5, a good finish for him, good finish of Diamondback Racing. And Leslie Peters, who was right behind Knowles, is just coming through Spoon, so he's obviously... those tyres have just dropped off a cliff. He has just not been able to push here. This last lap, he's been tiptoeing around and just sliding off the circuit. Gets through the Casio Triangle, okay. The final race of the season. It's the final car crossing the finish line here in the Formula Trout Challenger Split Season 10. And... smashing into the barriers. Yeah, goes out with a bang, smashing into the barriers. Final race of the season. Meanwhile, Shikloven, celebratory donuts. A fantastic race for him. Fantastic race for the champion. Unfortunately for Younger GP, they are not the Constructors' champions, the team's champions. That is now given to Griffin Red. Quite disappointingly, neither of the Griffin Red cars have finished the race. But... congratulations to them nonetheless. I'm sure Christoph Buzzer will be very, very happy about his team claiming the team's championship in Challenger Split. We will see them in Master Split next season, and I'm sure we'll probably see Darian Shikloven in Master Split next season as well. We will hang around a little bit to see if there are any drivers wanting interviews. Shikloven, usually first here for interviews, is kind of quite happily doing donuts here on the exit of turn 1. Very spectacular donuts for sure. I'm sure he will probably hop in for an interview in a minute or so.
I think Oliver will be part of those burnouts.
What? Shikloven's popped his rear tyre, I think. Car is sitting quite precariously on the 3 wheels here.
So he's ready for takeoff. He's ascending to a next level.
But yeah, we will just go and wait for interviews now. We have 2 drivers waiting for interviews. Darian is doing donuts, but also waiting for an interview, so we will drag him in. Hello there, Darian. You're still on track doing donuts, but you're here for an interview as well. What a fantastic race for you. You led every lap. You started on pole position and set fastest lap for good measure. So great job there, ending the season with a great result. You're on mute. Hopefully you were able to hear me.
Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah, it was great race. Honestly, I think everybody wants to hear my take on what happened at the start with Dimitri.
Yeah,
I think I left
into
enough
Casio
space, right?
Triangle. Yes, for sure. We were on board with Kamishov during that incident. He closed up so much down that back straight through 130 air, and then he just locked up the brakes, speared
Yeah,
into
I
your
knew it.
side pod, 180 degrees for him. Thankfully for your sake, you continued okay.
What
So that
happened to him afterwards?
what happened to Dimitri afterwards? Yeah, he started to recover initially. He got alongside one of the Diamondback cars, and they just kind of moved over into the braking zone, into Casio Triangle. Just ended up off the track, and that was him out of the race after that. Dropped down to last position and just gave up, I think.
Oh, well, I'm actually surprised that nobody else joined me into the donuts. I thought like just like in real life, this is tradition. At the end of the season, everybody should do donuts.
Yeah, they were
Come on,
very
guys.
neat, very nice donuts. Yeah, unfortunately, you were the only car on track to be doing the donuts, but it was.
Yeah, I already said to Alice, I think Oliver would be very proud of your burnout, so well job on that.
By the way, I was only spinning one tire.
Yeah, we saw.
Yeah,
We
we
believe you
noticed.
popped one of
It
your
was kind
wheels.
of a half-assed donut, but hey. Yeah, well, anyways. I wish my teammate would be here. He had the chance to get second place today, but
Yeah, it's a shame to see for sure. Obviously, both the Griffin Red cars DNFing, that gave you the perfect opportunity to challenge for that team championship. Unfortunately, with the absence of your teammate, Carlos Kamanis, you were not able to even challenge for it because the points deficit was just too great. Uh, the
I
Teams
guess Fallout
Championship
4
went to
will
Griffin.
be fun, right?
Sorry?
He was playing Fallout 4. It's fine. He had fun. I did as well. That's what matters, right? In the
Yeah, I
end.
mean, you did a fantastic job all season. Obviously, pulling not Griffin Red, pulling Young GP Junior basically to second in the championship almost by yourself. You're the drivers' championship. Will we see you in you're the drivers' champion? Will we see you in Master Split next season?
If my schedule allows it, yes, because I have university on the side and some other projects that I'm working on currently. I'm pretty much getting into modeling and texture work and blah blah blah.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm
I'll
sure.
spare you the pointless details. I have a lot on my back, so if if I'm gonna be joining for masters, I will not put in as much time as I did for challenger because I don't want to be this tired anymore.
Enough. I mean, you've done a great job all season. It's well deserved to have a bit of a break now. I'm sure many teams will be calling you to bring you up to the Master Split. If it's not with Younger GP, it'll be with another team. I'm sure you'll be a very hot driver to sign for next season. Yeah, great job all season again. Well done for the win today. Thanks for racing here in season 10.
Thank you for your time. We'll see you in season 11.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yes.
thanks.
See ya.
Who do we have up next? We have Andy Moreno. We will bring him in. Hello there, Mr. Andy Moreno. Great job out there in P2. Looked a bit like the strategy. Oh, he's gone.
He's left again.
Okay.
So he's back in the waiting room.
Okay. Well, maybe Moreno doesn't want an interview. Okay. We'll bring James K in there. In here. Hello, James. Would you like an interview? Can't hear you if you do.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Just asked that because we just dragged Moreno in, Andy Moreno. He just disappeared again, so clearly he didn't actually want an interview. Yeah, P3 for you. Great job out there. How was that? How was the race for you?
To be honest, I'm a bit disappointed because my car was so unstable under braking and I made a lot of mistakes and I spun like 3 or 4 times, so to me it's like I threw away P2, but at least I got the podium, my first podium in Formula Trad, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you did a great job with the pace-wise, and the strategy seemed very good as well. Your teammate further back, he was running P2 earlier on as well, but he just seemed to lose it in the final stages of the race, dropped down into P6, I think it was in the end. But yeah, it was a great race to watch. As you said, maybe you made a few mistakes yourself, but your first podium in Formula Trout, you I'll be happy with that, and to end the season with a bang for sure. Do you think? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Podium was what I was aiming for this season. I know it started a bit crappy. It didn't look like I was ever going to get a podium. I mean, I was constantly beaten. P4, P5s, couple of P6s also in there, and I thought it would never happen, but yeah, it happened tonight. So I'm really proud that all my hard work paid off, even though there was only a couple of guys in the race. But yeah, I'm happy.
No, I mean
It's
it's
a
definitely
consolation. No, it's fine.
it's definitely well deserved. I mean you had to fight for this race, and I think I've said before you've definitely been improving quite a lot as the season's gone on. A few things out of your control has maybe put you in positions that you shouldn't be, but you've definitely picked up the pace in the past season or so, and yeah, the podium at the end of the season is definitely well deserved. Even yeah, you say there's not many cars, but a podium's a podium. Got to take it, and hopefully, if you're sticking around into season 11, into next season, you can improve on that. Maybe fight for the championship there in Challenge Split next season.
I wish I could fight for the championship, yeah, but we'll see next season. I'll definitely be here. Who knows? I might actually put myself out in the drivers' market if yeah. Let's see how things go. Maybe disbanding Kings Racing, but yeah, we'll see next season.
So heard it here first, everyone. Driver maybe on the market for next season. Maybe get your messages now. But yeah, and as I said, thanks for racing all season. Great watching you on track. Great seeing you participate. And I don't know if Case has anything to say, but yeah, thank you.
Well, I'd like to keep my ending to a bit more than just cheers this time. So no, you drove great out there.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Cheers, guys.
Cool. Moreno is still waiting for an interview. Uh, I don't know if he wants an interview. We'll just drag him back again. Hello, Andy. I don't know if you want an interview, but you're still in the interview channel, so we've dragged you back.
Yes, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. Something came on my screen. I
Oh.
gonna get rid of it. And I'm like, when it got disconnected or whatever. But
Oh, right. Well, welcome back to the interview channel.
yes, thank you.
Great job out there. P2 for you.
Thank you.
Looked a bit touch and go at stages. The strategy maybe wasn't going your way. I think you did a two-stop in the end, but
I ended up doing a two-stop. I didn't honestly. I didn't know how this race was gonna go, strategy-wise, pace-wise. I was like, it's the last race. I picked my spa strategy that I got a P4 in. So I was like, okay, let's do that. I got lucky, I guess. But I felt really strong in the race. It was just something clicked for me this round.
no, definitely it was. You put on a very very good show for us. The pace was great. The King's racing cars in front of you seemed to have locked out the podium in the initial stages, but then they just kind of fell off the road. Leslie Peters just spun like 3 times in the last lap. Kay himself, obviously, you had a little battle with him. He was on the the harder tires, the older tires. Yeah, you managed to get past him with that two-stop strategy, and yeah, P2 for the end of the season is a very very good result.
Yeah, I agree. This is a great way to close the season for me, the debut season for the Diamondback racing team. Something that William Knowles and I just kind of created out of a whim. We're like, yeah, let's submit our own team, kind of thing. So it's been fun. It's been great. It's been stressful, all that wrapped into one. But this is such a great way to end the season. I know I had missed a couple races during the season. I was hoping I was going to miss this one if we were going to merge the two splits, but you know, either way, glad I raced, and it's just such a great feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. It's always great to get a podium last race of the season. It's good to maybe bring the momentum into next season as well. I don't know if you're going to be sticking around into season 11. If we will see Diamondback return next season.
I would love to come back. That's the plan. I we enjoy racing. We've been sim racing for years. Nothing competitive, not like this, not in this kind of scale. And finding this league, which just transformed. the way I look at it, and it's just awesome. I love it.
Great to hear. Yeah, I mean, competitive racing is always just another level compared to maybe messing around in public lobbies and things.
Exactly.
I don't know if you have anything to say, Case, as well.
No, not really, to be honest. Don't really have anything to add to that.
Yeah, so anyway, as I said, great job on that P2 result. Thanks for racing all season. It's been great to see you on track. Hopefully you do come back next season. We would love to see it. Maybe fighting for the championship next season. You never know.
Who knows?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Right, so everyone has now been interviewed that wanted an interview. That is the end of the Challenger split for this season. The Drivers' Champion was Darian Shkloven for Younger GP Junior. The Teams Champion was Griffin Gaming Red. Will be up to Master Split next season. I'm sure we'll see both of the names mentioned there up into the Master Split next season. I'm going to have to shoot off, as is Case as well, because we have a Master Split race to get to. But thank you everyone for sticking around all season. Thank you for watching. For the drivers that are watching this back, thank you for participating. Without you, this would not be possible. And as I said in the driver briefing earlier, for those who celebrate, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.
See you all New Year, and cheers to everyone who's been watching this season.
Goodbye.